Welcome to the Football Show on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel. I'm Peter Martin, Alan Ruff, Alison McConnell and Tam McManus here with us in the studio to look back over the weekend and the Scottish Premiership results from Saturday and Sunday, and then look ahead to the playoffs coming up this week. And let's not forget also on Wednesday and Saturday, full card in the SPFL as the season reaches its climax, and of course looking ahead to that Scottish Cup final as well. So lots to talk about, and basically just a slight technical hitch, which was why we were delayed, Ali, which means we've got a microphone, which is quite unusual for us using that. So you and I will just chat to each other because there's no point in talking to these two. One of them's not feeling well and the other one's got a hangover from being away for a week while the season's on, Ali.
Unheard of. But I have seen you in action with mics before on stages, and I'm quite reluctant to engage.
It's good enough for Tyson Fury, it's good enough for you, so calm your jets. Anyway, we will persevere with it. Good to have you back, Tam. Again, nice to go and try and lower your handicap. Is that fair?
Yeah, great 5 days away, Peter, golfing, and Ruffy's just slaughtered me for not having a tan. But you can't get a tan in a golf buggy, Ruffy, or a pub.
Yes, that's exactly it. Anyway, is this live? Yes, it is live. We're here. We're on, and thank you for your company on a sunny day when I think everybody's going to be enjoying the weather. But the good thing about the programme is you can enjoy it at your own leisure at any point on the YouTube channel, and indeed, if you download the app, you'll be able to watch it on your phone as well. So with that in mind, just before we start, I thought I'd give a little mention to a couple of players that I didn't get the chance to highlight over the last week, Ruffy. Dave Clunie passed away. He was a Hearts fullback who played 354 times for the Jambos between 64 and 77. And of course, one of the most famous goalkeepers at Hibs, alongside yourself, Jim Herriot, passed away. 93 appearances for Hibs, won a League Cup, and also was part of that team that defeated Hearts 7-0 way back in 1973.
Yeah, and I think he got a couple of international caps as well. Very well liked about the club, just the era just before me, but I met him a few times. He was originally the goalkeeper who did the American football, the black line under your eyes.
Stop the glare.
Stop the glare. And everybody was going, what's he doing, what's he doing? But it seemed like it worked, and he didn't like wearing a hat, so he did that. But I know about Hibs, very well liked. Any hospitality days he was there, people were always glad to have a word with him.
Yeah, and our thoughts go to Dave Clunie's family as well. I was at Tynecastle at the weekend. There was a lovely minute's applause as well for Dave Clunie, as well as sadly a fan had lost their child, and there was some lovely applause for that as well. That's the things that you like to highlight in football when the community comes together for all the right reasons. With that in mind, some of the news topics we'll be discussing. Derek McInnes looks as if, at this point, Ali, sometimes it's what a manager doesn't say. And when Derek McInnes comes in and says, I'm only going to answer one question on the Hearts situation, you have to make sure it's a right good question. But we've only got one in when really the clubs have not spoken to each other. Should have been. Has your agent received a call, Derek?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what wasn't said on Saturday night was a key to it all. I think it was very clear on Saturday night that Derek McInnes, he didn't want to put a foot wrong, really, in terms of revealing what had gone on. Obviously, very mindful of Kilmarnock's position, but it moved fairly quickly from Saturday night. There had been no contact between both clubs. It had moved fairly swiftly into Sunday afternoon, by which time he'd said on Sky that he believed that there had been contact, and I think it's now probably a matter of when rather than if.
Yeah, well...
Does this mean it's not a computer pick?
Yeah.
Is this somebody actually believing that you should have a Scottish manager and a Scottish team?
Well, listen, I mean, at the end of the day, sometimes I think we get absolutely hoodwinked by, the computer maybe picking a manager when really the board will have discussed it all and they will look at it and say, who's the ideal person for the job? I mean, did anybody get confirmed that Jamestown Analytics picked Neil Critchley? Was that maybe just somebody had suggested from all the coaches that they'd heard from. I mean, Jamestown Analytics is really, from what we're led to believe, something that they use to highlight the qualities of players at a certain wage level and what they can give you, their stamina, their crossing, their finishing, their passing, their possession.
Yeah, I think that's probably what it's for, Peter, is playing, the playing side of it. But I think they probably had the same the management side of it as well with Neil Critchley. He came from left field. I think he was the second choice. I think the Norwegian guy who knocked it back at the last minute was the first choice. But in terms of Derek McInnes, even if you put his stats into the computer, in terms of win percentage, Scottish football, getting Kilmarnock into Europe, Aberdeen in Europe, finishing second to Celtic, I think if you put all that into a computer, I think he would come up as one of the best as well. So I think it would be a great appointment for Hearts. I really do. I think that Derek McInnes is a proven manager in Scottish football, and I think you need that in Scotland. And, I think he's taken maybe Kilmarnock as far as he can. I think he had a great season last year. This season they've struggled. And I think that next season he's probably thinking to himself, it's a big ask for me, losing guys like Danny Armstrong possibly as well. It's a big ask to go and get into Europe again. So I think the timing seems to be perfect for Derek to go to Hearts, and I think he would be great for Hearts.
Why?
Because I think that he would suit the way Hearts play. Hearts, traditionally for me, have always been a big, powerful, physical team. And I think Derek likes to get wingers, likes to get balls in the box, and I think Tynecastle suits that as well, Peter. And I just think Scottish football, in terms of he knows the game inside out here, he knows how to win games, he knows how to set teams up, and I think he's done a great job at a similar sized club in Aberdeen. So I think he ticks a lot of boxes for Hearts supporters for me, and I think he'd be a great appointment for them.
Ali, do you share that view?
Yeah, I think so. I think I would concur with most of what Tam said there. I think he has a reputation for getting more than the sum of their parts out of teams. I think this season has obviously been a bit of an aberration. I think they found themselves behind the 8 ball with the European games at the start of the season, losing a couple of key players. I thought the loss of Kyle Vassell was massive at a point in the season. The loss of Stuart Finlay was big. So I think he's had a really tough campaign in terms just of just trying to keep their head above water. But I think I think he is a good fit for Hearts. This is a team that really should be up and challenging for third position every season. They should be the third force in Scottish football. That's the direction that the club wants to go in. That's the reason for the differentials that they've brought in now with Jamestown Analytics, and I would suspect that the ambition at Hearts will be to get a manager that repeatedly gets them into European football, where you can reap the rewards of that.
Do you know what I've just realised, Ali? More often than not, especially if I'm on a stage with the likes of Tyson Fury, it's usually a quick fire question where it's a quick back and forth. But if you do long answers today, my left arm's in trouble because I'm thinking, come on, Ali, come on, so I can get it back in. Exactly. It's amazing how you start thinking of these things going, come on, Ali. But I've got to go back to you, because the reason I'm going back to you is, and I'm not in a noise-up mood because we obviously had a technical hitch with one of the microphones, but I've got to go back to you, and then I'm going to get these guys' thoughts on it. Scottish football writers have got Jimmy Thelin in the nominees for the Manager of the Year. Why?
Yeah, I think it's an indication of when the vote takes place. I think everyone has to cast their votes.
September?
Everyone casts their votes at a point in the campaign when it's still fluid and things can change and move, as you have seen across recent weeks. So in defence of my colleagues, what I would say is I suspect the voting took place when Aberdeen still looked as though they were maybe on course for third spot.
Yeah. Can you explain how you vote to everybody? How do you vote? Do you get one choice, two choices?
For Manager of the Year? Gosh, I actually can't remember. I think it's just I think you've got a short list. I think you can put a couple.
Is that right? Who did you vote for?
I need to go back and check. I voted for Brendan Rodgers.
Twice?
Ruffy, great for a noise up. Yeah, I mean, I must admit, no harm to Jimmy Thelin, and I must admit, I looked at it and I thought to myself, it's just how the hell is Jimmy Thelin in the running? I know some Aberdeen fans will say, wait a minute, he's got them to a cup final, but we're going to talk about the game, obviously the Rangers game shortly, but I think they've fallen off a cliff with some of the results, and I think maybe we should have expected more from Aberdeen this season. Maybe I'm being harsh, because one journalist pointed out to me, Tam, he says, well, wait a minute, if you'd spread some of the results over the course, maybe Aberdeen would look far better than, long wins, long run of defeats, and then, it really is.
If they'd done it the other way about, like Hibs, it's the optics of it, that Hibs started really poorly and they're finishing strongly, so they're catching the eye come voting time. I think because Aberdeen obviously started so well and then they've really struggled in the middle part of the season, that people go, well, why are you voting for them? So I just think it's the way the seasons went for Aberdeen.
Yeah, okay. Give us your thoughts on that. We'd love to hear from you, as ever. Let's not forget, we've got all our content this season, and next season is absolutely free, but we've got additional content that we are offering you because of the fantastic performance of our staff who've been out, one-to-ones, little documentaries, lots of great storytelling. We've got additional content that we are offering you on PLZ Premium, a chance to get discounts in the shop. We'll get early access to some really big interviews. You'll also get the opportunity to be part of one of our shows in the fan zone. And over and above that, you'll get the chance over and above that all the way through the season to maybe come in here and join us in the studio, which would be fantastic as well. So there's so many benefits to getting PLZ Premium, and thank you to the people who've already enlisted PLZ Premium as well. And we're going to tell you about one of our events on the road, which is something that you'll get early access to. We'll tell you about that a little later on. Martindale and Gordon Strachan to look forward to. Here's the results from the weekend's games for you to assess. Of course, on the Sunday, Rangers emphatically dispatched 4 past Aberdeen to win by 4-0. It was Celtic defeating Hibs by 3-1. Some notable scorelines that we're going to discuss in detail as well. St Johnstone 2, Ross County 1, Dundee United 0, St Mirren 2. Elsewhere, Kilmarnock 3, Dundee 2 with Tony Docherty talking about VAR again. And Hearts 3, Motherwell 0. So that's just a few of the results. You can give us your thoughts on your team, bottom end as well, who you think is going to hit that playoff place, who's going to get relegated, because suddenly Simo Valakari has thrown the cat among the pigeons as well. If we're showing you right now what the fixtures are about, here's the table, because suddenly it's a different ballgame, Ruffy, because St Johnstone really have, said to everybody, we're not done yet.
No, I think everybody had written them off maybe a month ago with the points difference, but I think the manager believed when it came to the split that on any given day they could take points off of the teams that are in the bottom 6, and that's proved to be right. Particularly at home, they've got the win when they needed it, but they've also got another crucial game coming up, so it just depends on whether the players can stand up to the pressure.
Yeah, and the goal difference is so tight at the bottom, Tom.
Yes, I think there's only 1 goal between them, Peter, and listen, it was a must-win game for St Johnstone. If they hadn't won that game, they were relegated. I think they travel to Hearts during the week, which is a really tough game for them, but Dundee at home to Ross County, so something's got to give in that game. So listen, St Johnstone need to win both games and see where it takes them. I still think they're heavy favourites to get relegated, but that result at the weekend, has really given them a little bit of life. And as I said, they have to go to Tynecastle and get a result. Hearts seem to be back on form. Lawrence Shanklin back scoring goals, so that's a tough ask for them. But as I say, Dundee, Ross County is one. Dundee win that, they're safe. They're safe and leading in the playoffs. So that's another big game during the week. So yeah, it's a wee bit more exciting than people would have thought at the bottom of the league a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. You can give us your thoughts. Who do you think is going down? Who's going to be in that playoff place? We'd love to hear your thoughts on that as well. We're going to discuss Rangers and Celtic shortly, but with that in mind, St Johnstone 2, Ross County 1. Here's what Simo Valakari and Don Cowie made of it all.
We need to do it again on Wednesday. We need to do all these little things right. We need to have this same football togetherness on the field that we really go and doing the things for our team, and then it's possible. But yes, again, Wednesday's our second last chance. How you call it? I don't know.
It's still in our own hands. It shouldn't be in terms of the run of form that we've been in, but that's the carrot and the dangle that we've got in terms of the next 2 games. But I can't keep saying it, and that's what I said to the players. We have to go and act upon it and win a game of football, and that starts on Wednesday.
Yeah, I must just react to Jan Parker Douglas because clearly she's got a bee in her bonnet. She says, Peter, Ali's quite capable of holding the mic. So, Ali, set the scene for us. St Johnstone 2, Ross County 1.
What song? Yeah, I think they look down and out at one point. I think you've got to applaud the spirit and the fight that they've shown. I think, what were they, 10 points adrift at one stage? And I think it looked as though it would be a formality. The fact that they've kept just clinging on by their fingertips, still a little bit of hope there. I think it says quite a lot about how they've responded to Valakari, to the fact that they've come in and bought into what he's trying to do. He comes across as just this, he's like a wee ball of energy. He's really positive. I think you can see that they've bought into what he's trying to do. You can see the way that the team is set up and how they're trying to play. I agree with Tam. I think they look destined to go down, but you just never know. I think if they to get the win at Tynecastle on Wednesday night, it would make for a really compelling final day of the season.
My producers just said, could you ask Ali to hold it closer to her mouth? Jan, if I know I was just about to say, Jan, if you could avoid having a go at me, I'm just doing what my producer told me. Anyway, with regards to St Johnstone on the day, suddenly, it's tense. You're looking at it, you're saying to yourself, Ruffy, we're going to get a game here, but it's nerves. It's taking those moments and seizing upon them, and St Johnstone were able to do that.
Yeah, they certainly were. I was really impressed with the crowd turnout. I thought it was really impressive that the home fans are getting behind their team, and willing them to win the games. I think they took their chances at the right time. I actually think they started to play a lot of good football.
Do you think they're going to beat the drop?
No, I don't think that is too much. Well, you're telling me that I will.
Ruffy.
What's their 2 games? What have they got?
Hearts on Wednesday night.
And then Dundee.
Dundee in the last day of the
It's
season.
too much. It would be, it's a bit of escape. It would be if they did it. But
What do you think? Hearts are great?
I thought that they were better on Saturday. I thought they played particularly well. Obviously, Shanklin getting the couple of goals, but they still look a wee bit vulnerable at the back. But I don't think St Johnstone are good enough to go there and get a win.
Yeah, there's a big worry in your face, Ali, and the reason why Alison's so worried is because Ruffy's not been well.
The dodgy oyster.
Who goes to...
His stomach's rumbling.
I was going to say to you, who goes to a restaurant and orders 12 oysters? I mean, you're asking for trouble, Tam, aren't you? Because if there is any kind of bug there, you're gone.
That's what happens when you've got the cash and you're a connoisseur of food. And
oysters.
We go and we get a wee plate of pasta. He goes and gets oysters and foie gras and champagne. And
yeah, absolutely. By the way, Tam, and I know you because obviously the reason why so many people like you on here is you've got that kind of a real good Ned factor. You wouldn't order oysters. Certainly, you didn't order them when you were on that mad party of yours. But Alison, people are worried about you now. They don't think you're going to survive. They don't think you're going to survive with Ruffy by your side. So
you hold that in.
Yeah. I'm just getting mightily worried. There's a look of fear on Ali's face.
Every time his belly rumbles, I'm like, look at Ali's face.
I could hear his belly rumble, and I just looked at your face and I thought, oh, she's in big trouble. But yeah, so Killie 3, Dundee 2. Now I do think that Dundee will be safe. I just think they might just have enough in the goal scoring department.
Listen, they've got a massive game on Wednesday, Peter. They're at home to Ross County. They win that, they're safe. There's nothing else to be said about it. They know if they win, they're not in any trouble at the bottom. There'll be a big crowd at that game, and if they win that, they're safe. If they don't, and St Johnstone get a result, then they play them in the last game of the season. So, as I said, it's an exciting end to the end to the season. But guys like Simon Murray, I would expect them to go and beat Ross County, but again, leaking goals at the back. Kilmarnock could have scored 4 or 5 at the weekend. They missed a couple of great chances as well. So, listen, I'd be disappointed went down there and got beat. Tony Docherty would be disappointed again with VAR. He's probably got another point, on that decision. But you just got to suck it up and stick together and try and get 3 points on Wednesday night.
Well, last week he was peeved about VAR, and he had more of the same this week.
When you get out the bottom 6 fixtures, we knew the sequence of the games, we knew what was in front of us, and we knew what we had to do and what we do have to do, and it's crystal clear now what we have to do. But And again, I don't want to be seen as that manager that blame, but I just, the last 2 games, there's been real focus on VAR to the detriment of my team. And yet we need to use that feeling of injustice and try to do something about it. But I think somebody has to look into that.
Yeah, he's not a happy man. I mean, I actually thought, Ali, just even from Simon Murray going in line with the penalty box, I thought it was a penalty. But then again, the referee has a look, and then, and he waits, obviously with somebody saying something in his ear, and he doesn't give it.
But the problem was that he wasn't shown any images. So what Tony Docherty's grievance was that the referee had been called over to the monitor, but he didn't look at anything. He wasn't shown anything to then make a decision. So he had no option really but to stick with his original call, which was that it was outside the box. So I think he was really peeved about that. I think he'd gone and spoken to the referee at full time. The referee had no explanation as to why there were no images shown. I think there had been a call in the build-up in the first phase of play to check that he was onside. I think he was onside. And then there was nothing. So he was saying, what's the point in VAR if he's not actually... What's he looking at if there's nothing there in front of him to make an assessment? And I think when the stakes are as high as this for clubs and they can go down, and you've had back-to-back to justifiably irritating VAR calls, you could see why he would be so annoyed by it.
Yeah, it's down to the wire. Dundee have got Ross County coming up, and then, of course, that journey over to St Johnstone. And of course a wee bit of needle roughie between Dundee and St Johnstone for something that happened about 40 years ago still has a wee bit of needle in the northeast. I think it ended up with one of them being relegated, I think. So they still have a wee bit of bad blood between them.
Played in that fixture, Peter, for Dundee against St Johnstone. There was always a wee bit of...
Yeah, there is a bit of bad blood.
It wasn't a derby game, but there was always a wee something about it.
Yeah, it stretches back. I think someone honestly on our feed will be well aware of the history. And Stephen Watt makes a very good point here. He says, Peter and the team, what's the point in VR when it constantly misses big decisions? I mean, I did mention that at the game between Hearts and Motherwell, which was effectively a dead rubber. But VAR, and to the credit of some of the players who come in, they consistently say, yeah, it's getting most of them right. It's just about the ones, that small percentage that they're not getting right, that are so contentious that it sometimes is a difference between getting a chance to win a match and not.
Yeah, but I mean, it's how you interpret it as well. I think Tony was talking about the week before against Motherwell, and then Stephen O'Donnell come on our show and explained, why it should have been disallowed. Because he was active in the play, and Stephen O'Donnell saying if he's got a player behind him, he's actively in play, and I've got to deal with him. So
that's Stephen O'Donnell's interpretation of it, Rob. It wasn't necessarily...
No, but I'm saying managers do sway their decisions the way they want it to be.
Yeah.
But sometimes they're not right all the time. I mean, I don't... The thing I don't get about the one at the weekend is this thing where he was touched outside the box, but he was down inside it.
Yeah.
Is that a rule?
Well, if the foul carries on into the penalty box, then it'll be a penalty.
I don't get that either.
Yeah. I thought he was on the line.
If it's on the line, it's on the line. It's no. If he's going to go down, his momentum's going to take him into the box.
Well, listen, if Dundee were to get relegated, I think Tony Docherty would look upon it and some of his players at some of their decisions, and they would be far from
his job
happy.
here.
Yeah, that's what
Cost him his job.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that. If Dundee get relegated, Tony will lose his job. So that's why he's so angry about it, Peter, in the last couple of weeks. Big decisions last week, go 2-0 up against Motherwell at home. It's a different game. They're probably safe right now. And then that decision at the weekend. So, yeah, he's under real pressure at the minute, and that's obviously shown in some of his interviews, but his livelihood's on the line.
But as you say, Tammy, he should be more annoyed at the goals they're losing.
Yeah.
Some of his players on the park are making unbelievable decisions.
But that doesn't take
costing them games.
It doesn't take away from the fact that a manager can highlight that a game can change dramatically at 2-0.
But there's no guarantee he's going to score the penalty. You're presuming he's going to score. Lots of players have missed penalties.
No, but the point he was making was one of the goals last week was disallowed. He put it in the ball in the top corner, and then it was adjudged to be a player was interfering with play at 2-0. Suddenly he could be in a situation where they say, come on, let's defend this lead. Yeah. Let's change the way we're going to play about it. Listen, it's down to the wire, and Dundee are not out of it. St Johnstone, Ross County, it is exactly the way everybody wants it at the tail end, a real cliffhanger. If only we had that at the top end of the table. And you looked at Rangers, 4-0 against Aberdeen. Now, I'm going to be mightily critical of them because I think Aberdeen, in that there's three stages of them. There's the unbelievable run, there's the unbelievable fall off the cliff, then there's the, just getting it back a bit. Should we have expected more from them, Ali? Because it's a heck of a swing back. Should we have expected more of them? And of course, we're going to hear from Barry Ferguson shortly as well on the fact that he was able to stop that terrible run of results at Ibrox.
Yeah, I think Aberdeen fans would have expected much more of them in that display, particularly in the second period. I think they would have wanted them to show a wee bit more composure, a bit more fight. I think it looked very easy for Rangers. I think the expression that Barry Ferguson used was that they ran over the top of Aberdeen, and I think that's a fair summation. I think Aberdeen, you do expect more for them. This is a team that want to be up there and challenging for third spot, to be the third force in Scottish football. I think you have to be prepared to go toe-to-toe with both Celtic and Rangers and ask questions of them. You might not come out in the winning side, but I think there's a way that you can lose a game and still come out with it. Feeling as though you've gone and given a good account of yourself.
I just look at it, Ruffy, and I think for Hibs to be 3 points ahead of them is a damning indictment of their form. And I think the manager deserves criticism for it.
Yeah, I think we were a bit carried away with the beginning of the season. I think it was 12 or 13 games. But if you really looked at the 12, 13 games that they'd won, a lot of the results weren't that impressive. You would have said they had to beat the League Cup results and a couple of early games and that. So, yeah, but you take the 13 wins or whatever it was. But then their true form came when they went on that bad run. And, OK, he added some players, but, I don't see them as being a strong unit that are going to see out games, because that defence, who we criticised them away at the beginning of the season, are now back to where they are just now.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, let's not beat about the bush here. Wednesday, they've got Celtic up at Pittodrie, which is going to be a tough one for them. And then their final game is away at Tannadice to Dundee United. But if he wins the Scottish Cup, he'll be a legend.
Yeah, as I said, it's in terms of the league, Peter, yeah, they fell off it a little bit, but you're right, they could still potentially finish third as well. It's a long shot, but if they win their two games, they've got an opportunity of that and they could win a cup. So, I think the time to judge Jimmy Thelin probably end of the season, Peter. I think it's maybe a wee bit early just now. I think if they go to the end of the season, listen, everybody expects Celtic to beat them, but you never know in a cup final, anything can happen. If they win the cup, all of a sudden it's a fantastic season. They're in Europe and they win a cup, so I think probably the time to judge them would be after the cup final.
Yeah, I don't think I hate to be unbelievably controversial, Tam, but if Aberdeen beat Celtic in the Scottish Cup final based on the strength of the two of them, their form at the moment, I might take you back to, where was it you were, Torremolinos? Mm-hmm. I might take you back to Torremolinos just for...
I think I might be bad.
Yeah. I think you might be.
No, listen, Peter, Celtic are overwhelming favourites, but you never know in a final.
Yeah.
Game.
Okay. Are you backing them?
No.
Okay. What about Barry Ferguson? 4-0. I think as a manager, he wanted to try and somehow get into the head of the Rangers players what it means to play for the club, the demands, the need to listen to his instruction. And they got it all right in that game on Sunday against Aberdeen. And I think the manager was rightly pleased with the performance eventually.
Not been good enough this season. It's been way off it. I've come in and I've tried to change it. One thing about I've changed is the attitude of the players been really good. There's been a few bumps, as I've always said. There's certainly a lot of good players in there. They just need to make sure we finish the season strongly, and then we'll take it for there, whatever happens.
Yeah, you can understand the pain. He wanted to try, and he said 5 games, 15 points, wanted the 15 points, fell foul of that target, and then he was wondering, when are they going to kick in with something?
Yeah, and I think he would have been relieved just to get that win at the weekend, just to get the win at Ibrox. He wouldn't have wanted to bow out at the end of the season, as we all expect will happen with a new structure and a new infrastructure coming into the club. I think he wouldn't have wanted to bow out with that on his CV. I think he would have wanted just to get the win. It's almost meaningless, really. It's way too little or too late. But I think what you've seen across recent weeks, regardless of who's in charge at Rangers, there are real deficiencies within the squad. I think you can see that there's a lack of quality, and it needs to be addressed over the summer in terms of bringing at least a couple of players in that will elevate the standard within the squad. I think everyone is looking at Vaclav Černý. I think it would be highly unlikely. I don't think Rangers would be in a position financially to keep him on a permanent deal, but I think he's been head and shoulders above anyone else. But I think in terms of the collective of the team, it's just been way below par this season, and the standard in the team just isn't there.
Some players want a new deal. One of them's 37. Leon Balogun thinks he could still do a job at Rangers.
Without trying to sound arrogant, but age is nothing but a number. I've looked after myself throughout my whole career pretty well, I would like to think, which is the reason why I can still perform at this level. If I would feel that I start to really struggle, I would admit it, but I absolutely do not feel that way.
Would you give him a new deal?
Definitely, yeah. Of all the people that's come in, I know they let him go and brought him back again, but of all the people that's been in and out, I think he's been very good in the big games. He seems to be a big-time player, and I agree with him. I don't think age matters if you look after yourself.
Yeah, the only thing, and this is the great unknown of this whole situation, Tom, is nobody knows what budget, nobody knows what manager, nobody knows, I haven't even heard anybody that's a serious contender at the moment.
Yeah, I think things are up in the air at Ibrox at the minute, Peter, until this takeover's rubber stamped and it's in the books and they're taking over, then they can go and look at another manager. So there are a lot of players in limbo at the minute. Barry Ferguson's a wee bit in limbo as well. Obviously, he would want to stay there long term. I don't think he will, but there's players in there who the new manager might fancy, the new manager might not fancy. So I'm sure the players that are out of contract will have their agents on to other clubs at the minute as well. So yeah, I think until that's rubber stamped, the 49ers takeover is done, then people don't know really what's happening at Ibrox, to be honest.
Is there enough time to be able to turn it around, bring in players, choose that right manager, get the recruitment right, and then, of course, all the other things that they will have to find out in the background about Rangers?
Yeah, I think so. I think sometimes we look at it and we think that teams are so far ahead that it's impossible to catch them. As you look at Celtic just now, and there's a 20-point chasm in the table, and you think it's just it's too much. You can see how quickly it can change. If you look back at other seasons, Ange Postecoglou going into Celtic in the first campaign, people expected it needed major surgery, would need a bit of time. Go back to Martin O'Neill's first season at Celtic. Of course it can change, but for it to change, you need everything to align properly. You need the recruitment to be spot on. You need players to come in to fit into a system immediately. You need them to hit the ground running. You need them to get off to a solid start and for a team to gel fairly quickly.
Does it need somebody with traditions that understands Rangers?
No, that statement that Barry made there, that I think it was attitude, he said. The players in that dressing room don't have the right attitude to play. It's a horrible thing to say about any footballer, that you're at a massive club, you're getting paid very, very well, but you don't get what it's about to play, So I know we were talking about it earlier, that an athletic team identify the kind of players that possibly know what it's like to play for the club, but until that happens, nobody knows who we're talking about, what price of player we're talking about bringing in, where are they coming in from. So I know they've got the European game coming up, but they need to act very quickly.
Yeah, okay. Aberdeen, Scottish Cup. Do you think they can win it? Give us your view. Jimmy Thelin, if he's been critical of his players, he's mentioned that they shouldn't be thinking about that showpiece at Hampden.
I hope not, because we know where we are in the league. It's so much to play for here, and you never know what's going to happen in the future. You have to be, as a player, as a team, as a manager, you have to take game by game, because it's always about performance and what you're showing today. If someone think about the cup final already, then they focus in the wrong place and they're not going to perform well. So you have to understand it's an important game against Celtic at home now.
Yes, and the champion Celtic were able to see off Euro boys 3-1 quite comfortably in the end, although there were big moments for Hibs in that game.
Yeah, there were. I think getting the goal with Martin Boyle, Peter, I think if you can get to half-time 1-0, it's a different game. when Hibs lose 2 goals right before half time, and you're right up against it. But I thought Hibs started really well, positively. And for the first half an hour, 40 minutes, Boyle had another chance. I think he was offside. And one he slipped in the box as well. So they had opportunities to go and hurt Celtic. But Celtic at the other end at the minute, they're firing on all cylinders. Kuhn, Ida, obviously Hatate getting the goal as well, Maida. So they're now finishing the season strongly, Celtic. So I don't think it's a disaster. I think the most important result was Aberdeen not winning, and Hibs keep that 3-point gap, basically 4 with a goal difference. And away to St Mirren during the week, Peter, if they can go and get a point or even 3 points, they can clinch third place. And even if they don't, then Celtic could beat Aberdeen. That could be it done. So they're within touching distance, Hibs, of getting that third place.
You must be. Are you impressed with the job he's done? I mean, it's been unbelievable. I mean, are there players that you've been impressed with that suddenly have just come to the fore?
Yeah, I think Rocky Bashiri is probably the biggest one, Peter. I think that if you looked at him the first couple of months of the season, I don't think there's a Hibs fan on this planet that would have wanted him in their long term. I think he looked poor, he looked like a bomb scare, playing with no confidence, causing goals. And the goalkeeper as well. Goalkeeper looked short of confidence. I'm pretty sure I said he shouldn't be playing. He's not good enough. He's another one that's bounced back, Peter. So I think the resilience that some of those players have showed at Easter Road has been incredible. Nicky Cadden's had a brilliant season. I think he won Player of the Year last night at the Hibs Awards. Martin Boyle, second half of the season, right back to his best. I think 16, 17 goals, brilliant return for him. So, yeah, I think if you look at Hibs in the first part of the season and the second half of the season, it's been like 2 totally different teams. And I said you've got to give the manager a lot of credit. He stuck together, the whole squad, the whole club stuck together when they were getting flagged from all angles. So, listen, they're within touching distance of third place. And if you'd have said that to me at the end of September, start of October, I'd have laughed. So, let's just go and finish the job now.
Yeah, and again, Ali, I think sometimes, and I think some of the players have mentioned it over the last couple of weeks, certainly Callum McGregor was right to highlight. I think Brendan Rodgers has alluded to it. But you've got to pay tribute to Celtic. They're on the verge of a treble, and it's almost as if sometimes, because it's expected, people are just saying, well, they're forgetting the relentless nature of having to win the games, and they are coming to the boil just at the right time again for Hampden.
Yeah, I think it's the sheer consistency that you would applaud. I think it's difficult to do it, and I think it's particularly difficult to do it season after season. I think you go back to when Celtic won a treble and Martin O'Neill's first season, it was the club's 3rd treble in their history. If you look at, this could be a 3rd successive treble. Look, this is a generation of Celtic fans who have been absolutely spoiled by the consistency that they've shown, that there's almost an expectancy that you turn up every season and that's where you're going. If you don't win a treble, there are questions asked. I think it does take a certain kind of fortitude and a particular kind of resilience to produce season after season and week after week, to keep going even when the season's won, when the league is won. And I think you've seen that at points in this campaign. I think in certain performances, I think there's not been a huge amount of tension at any point in the title race, and I think that's maybe reflected in performances that aren't always up to scratch. But I think it would be churlish not to just applaud the sheer consistency of the team.
I think a good thing as well is he plays his best team. In every game, he plays his best team. You might leave Cameron Vickers out because he's got a wee niggle, but he sets his team out, his best team at the start of every game. He win the game, and once they've won the game, they just change at 70 minutes or something like that. And the other 5 that come on just know the expectations of what they've got to live up to as well. I just think the consistency level of how they play is there every week. It might drop off at the St Johnstone game, but for the whole season to be that constant 70%, 80% possession of a ball, that shows the level of fitness that team's got.
Yeah, the other aspect of it, Ruffy, which I think as we start to talk about Rangers and what they're going to do and clubs who want to strengthen and some who are using analytics and obviously trying to close that gap as Celtic have run away with the league, the intriguing thing for me is what Celtic doing this summer, because Brendan wants a certain calibre of player. That's what he said. He's had a fantastic situation in Europe where I, again, highlight Munich, because Munich was a telling moment for me as far as a performance that was worthy of high praise. And I'm wondering what calibre of player he's going to be looking at that he thinks can take them on again.
I definitely think a real quality centre-half, to play beside Cameron Vickers, a real international. I don't think the two at that just now, Scales and the other boy at a level once you go to Europe are good enough to play at that level. They'll get away with it here. It's a centre-forward bit, what kind of centre-forward do you need to play European football and win games for you? Is the boy that's up there now, Ida, or even the other one, the wee boy that scored so many goals?
Maida.
I mean, are they good enough?
He's been there quite a while now.
Maida.
No, I just
And Nelson rhymes with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Are they good enough at the European level that you're talking about?
Well, I think...
Or do they need...
But how much does Celtic need to spend on a striker that's going to be good enough for the Champions League? They just spent £11 million on one, and £9 million on one, and people are saying he's not good enough.
He's young, Tom.
But if you want to finish the article, what are you going to pay, 20, 25?
Yeah.
Celtic going to pay that?
They're not, but what they will do is that they'll probably move Hatate on. They'll probably shift a couple of players as they do that are really fringe players that haven't made an impression. He'll try and make Engels a better player this season. And he's obviously going to have to go out and get himself a winger because Jota's got a long-term injury. So striker, centre-half, winger, there's three right away, possibly another midfielder if Hatate moves on.
Yeah, I think I'll give it off a bit of centre-half. Trusty. I think he's looked decent in spells, particularly in European games when their back's to the wall, Peter. I think he's better that way. He's better when they're sitting deep and they're having to defend crosses. When Celtic are playing against teams here and he's got possession of the ball, I don't think he looks the best. I mean, he's got to go and dictate the play. So yeah, I think a centre half beside Carter Vickers definitely, and possibly a centre forward and a winger. But listen, Brendan Rodgers will want to go at the next level again. Listen, they'll probably win the treble this season. Got to a knockout game, great results against Bayern Munich, great result over there. Listen, to go to the next level from that, Peter, you're talking another 30, 40 million pound to spend. So, that's what he'll probably be asking the board for, and whether they give him that or not remains to be seen.
Yeah, even at a low estimate, I think they might have 100 million in the bank. But nevertheless, it'll be interesting to see what type of backing he gets as well. Can't stop talking about the weekend before we look ahead to the midweek games. But a word on St Mirren, because quite simply, Ali, he just keeps producing. Well, I was just about to say, he just keeps producing. I think the next couple of games might just kill him off in his hope for European football, but it would be remarkable if Stephen Robinson could pull it off.
Yeah, he's unlucky almost with the fixture. Like Hibs really just need a point, I think, on Wednesday night, so they've got something there to play for. Celtic, obviously it'll be title day on Saturday afternoon when they have to go, but yeah, I think a remarkable season. If they had to pull off European football again, I think it'd be an incredible story for them. I think it'd be some achievement, especially when you think of how the position that Dundee United were in for much of the season, but they've been so poor since the split.
I was in the capital on the Saturday, Ruffy, sunshine, taps off, Hearts against Motherwell, totally and utterly meaningless. But nevertheless, Shanklin in the right position, scores goals.
He did. I mean, I'm just a bit anxious about his... When he scores goals, he doesn't seem to be celebrating.
That's because he's leaving.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's as if, I want to score goals for my team. I've been here all the time, but at the back of my mind, I'm not going to be here or something. Like, there's something, I mean, I'm hearing that Hearts are doing everything their best to keep him, but I would doubt if that's going to happen. But I like to see when a goal scorer scores a goal, I like to see a Kenny Dalglish celebration.
Smile.
And I've never seen it at the weekend.
Yeah. And you're reading into that.
Yeah.
We've got a little message here on our feed on YouTube. Ruffy says, Ruffy, this is regarding your opinion on some things that you've said. I said the exact same as Ruffy earlier. Good that you've seen my post, Ruffy. I have to be honest with you.
Reassure him I don't do posts.
Ruffy can't read the feed, even if he did see. All he sees is blurred lines. And for him to say that he's got the same opinion as you, I wouldn't be bragging about it, Bundley, wherever you are. Hearts 3, Motherwell 0. Motherwell, poor, nothing great to write home about. But it's end of season. He's done his job. He knows exactly. I mean, I thought they would have been battling away for the best of the bottom six.
Yeah, listen, I think that the result last week kind of secured their status. I think that, listen, the manager will be keeping an eye on players now from now to the end of the season to see who he wants for next season. I see Tony Watts coming on to a bit of a game, which seems to happen at the end of the season.
You and I need to go and buy his socks. If I see him one more time on that TikTok, I'm going to
He's
head in.
He's coming alive at the business end of the season. So listen, I think that Motherwell are safe. They're just playing the season out. But for Hearts, Lawrence Shankland obviously scored up at Ross County the week before, and finishing the season strong, always good when you're out of contract.
Where do you think he's going to end up? In Scotland still?
I think he could go anywhere. You know, it's a big world. He could go anywhere. I think his goal scoring record. If you're an agent and you're going to speak to clubs, you go, listen, this is how many goals he scored. He's an international player. You know, I think he can go and get himself a really good deal somewhere. Whether that's down south, whether that's abroad, we don't know yet. But I don't think he'll stay in Scotland. I think he'll go abroad. Okay,
playoffs and predictions coming for the midweek Scottish Premiership card as well. Andy C, who is on our YouTube channel, thanks for signing up to PLZ Premium. It's there for you. It's a chance to get additional content all the way through the summer and into next season. Alison will be producing some special stuff. She's been in blistering form this season at Ruffy. I have to say it's been great, that transition away from the written press to the stuff she's done.
In the last fortnight, she's never been in here. She's been out. Games here, games there.
To be fair, she's dropped off in the last couple of weeks, but yeah, absolutely. She's been fantastic, Tam.
Freelance, you've got to put the hard yards in, haven't you?
I don't know where she's freelance. She's here full time. I don't know. But she's been a great signing for us.
Tell you.
That's a very good point. Anyway, we will have lots more people signing up to Premium. Thank you very much if you have done that. Don't forget, we've got events coming up. Tam was on great form. He had to be at our last event because obviously Ruffy was really, really funny. So we've decided to get two people together that haven't been together before, Gordon Strachan and Martin O'Neill. I can't remember them ever going head to head, being out at an event, telling us great stories of Fergie, Brian Clough, Aberdeen, Man United, Celtic. It's going to be some night.
Yeah, and both are very good speakers. Both are funny. Both have got fantastic tales, and I think it's fun to listen to them. I think people would enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. And both of them, obviously, at a certain periods as Celtic manager, hated me. What a great night.
Joining a long list.
Exactly.
Including everybody in here.
Yeah, absolutely. What a great night it's going to be. Can't wait till the two of them try and absolutely cane me. Playoffs, Thistle, Livingston. Do you like the playoffs? Some have suggested it should be just one game instead of this home and away. Davy Martindale's having none of it. He thinks it's not broken. You don't need to fix it.
I think it's knockout football, it's playoffs. I think it brings out the best, and it's a really good, I think it's one of the formats in Scottish football that's not broken, so we probably are trying to find a different solution, but this is the one that works for me. Does that make sense? Yeah. Second and 11th, I don't think there's a lot in it in terms of the progression. Third or fourth, it's a wee bit weighted, but your caveat would be with that one, you've had 36 games to try and finish second or first, so if you're third or fourth, you need to deal with that. But it's definitely one of the formats that I feel works, so I hope they don't change it, but I maybe better telling them I think it's a great choice and they should change it, because then they'd maybe keep it the same.
Do you agree with them, Ruffy?
Yeah, I think so. I don't think one game giving a particular team home advantage over the other would be right. I think the two legs is, first of all, bringing a lot of money into both clubs, because the supporters have really bought into it. I think if you look at the attendances in the playoff, they've been absolutely fantastic, and I think it'll be the same this week as well.
Tam?
Yeah, listen, I think Livingston have got a little bit of that advantage that they've had a bit of a rest. I think Partick Thistle, you seen Brian Graham the other night, they're having to play some kids at the minute. You know, their squad's down to the bare bones. You know, Livingston are sitting rested up, but the momentum that Thistle have got from winning that game, the confidence they'll get from going to United and winning, when they look down and out, will be massive. So, listen, personally, I think Livingston will go up this season. I think Livingston will probably play Ross County over two legs, and I think they're more than capable of beating them. So, I would think that Livingston would take care of Partick Thistle, but I think Partick Thistle went to Livingston just not last week, 2 weeks ago, and got into the playoffs by winning 1-0. So, Listen, anything can happen, but I think Livingston will, over 2 legs, will be too strong for Thistle.
They've managed Brian Graham pretty well. I did say to David Martindale this morning, because I was up early working, I did say to him, how do you hold him? How do you keep a hold of him? He says, no, we've handled him pretty well this season, and he thinks maybe that the rest will benefit Livingston as well.
Well, there's no doubt about that. You know, I'm sure Partick Thistle have picked up some injuries for that game. Wee niggles here and there, not a lot of time to recover for this one. But I think they've done remarkably well. I mean, Gordon Parks disagreed with me on Friday. I said Partick Thistle could turn this around, and he said, nah, I'm not agreeing with that.
Yeah.
United are far too good. So that's what's good.
That's why he'll be back in the show then.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, the other thing about it, you want to see his face, because he couldn't believe a newcomer had actually dared to say you're talking a lot of mince. And automatically...
Come for the king, you best not miss, Ruffy.
Well, I was going to say, but when he walked off the show, Ruffy just had a wee nudge to me and he said, listen, same as Barry, just get him heaved right out of the... You know, that's exactly what it's all about. So, Ali, where are you going with this? Where's your money on it? It's a brilliant battle.
I think Livingston will probably prevail. I think they're the better of the two teams, and I do think the fact that they've had a break will help them. I think the fact that they've not had the same schedule. There's never been a team who's finished fourth in the Championship that's made it up into the top flight, and I think a big part of the reason for that is that the odds are stacked against you when you look at the sheer volume of games you've got to play in a really short space of time.
Could you say that first bit again? Because I forgot that I had the mic. I'm only kidding you. Don't say it again. But somebody has said something to me, which I think is very, very pertinent, is give Ali the mic. This is Aurora. I think Alison should finish the show with a song, which should be absolutely magnificent, wouldn't it, Tom? Can you imagine Ali was a kind of an outgoing extrovert? She'd just give me that mic.
I think, what was your karaoke song that night in the place?
I'm tone deaf.
And we were on that restaurant.
Jolene
it was.
Jolene, yep, absolutely strangled it.
We've had a good few singers on the show.
Not me.
We've had a few good.
By the way,
guitar in?
We had a guy who brought the guitar in, who scored at the weekend.
Was it Brian?
Alex Samuel.
Oh, so
he was a young boy. He got the guitar out and sang on the show, Tam. Equally like Ali strangled the song, but nevertheless still did it. Just one little footnote down towards the English Premier League for one last little point, Ruffy, which is
disgraceful.
Well,
booing
Liverpool 2.
Alexander-Arnold.
Yeah, Liverpool.
Disgraceful Liverpool fans.
2-2 against Arsenal, but when Trent Alexander-Arnold, I might get the three of them in the right order. Trent Alexander-Arnold came on to the park. They booed him, which is not good, is it?
No, not at all. You know, not for the service that he's given the club. Every player moves on at some time in your career, and you would have thought, in the light of what was happening on that day, they would have just fell into sync with everybody else and enjoyed their day out.
He's going to Real Madrid, for God's sake.
The biggest club in the world, Peter. You know, and you know, there's no loyalty in football, and I think he's won everything at Liverpool. He's more entitled to go. If Real Madrid come calling for you, you're going. I think between them and Barcelona, that's the two biggest clubs in the world. And if they come in for you, you know, going and living in Spain, getting up in the morning, sunshine, you know, that's a no-brainer for him. So I thought it was a disgrace. I thought it was shocking, Peter, to hear that for a young guy who's gave the best part of his career at the club.
I mean, it is a good point. I can't argue with you. I thought the Liverpool fans were bang out of order with it, Ali, because quite simply he's going to better himself there. He's won everything that he needs to win at Liverpool.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's poor. I think I just think for anyone, when I think fans sometimes forget that players, it's a career, it's a short career. You want to go and maximise what you can do. You want to test yourself. There is no doubt that if Real Madrid come calling, I can't think of any players that would turn back Real Madrid if they come and say, put a contract in front of you and say, come out to Madrid and here's what you can win and here's part of the team that you can come and be associated with. I think sometimes fans forget that players don't think like fans. They don't have the same emotional connection to it. It's a professional connection that you have.
And the last point I'm going to get your thoughts on, Ruffy, is this. If I'm the manager, there's only probably an insight into my personality, which, you either like or you don't. If I'm the manager and Evangelos Marinakis comes on and has a wee go at me, I turn round to the owner and I'm saying, Nottingham Forest, chance of the Champions League, definitely European football. Evangelos, why don't you go and take a fly into yourself?
Yeah, I can imagine you saying that.
Yeah.
That's the kind of guy you are.
I mean, honestly, Ruffy, the owner...
Absolutely shocking. Shocking.
It's bang out of order. You coming on the park to have a go at him?
The public nature of it and everything, appalling. And you look at where they were and where they are now. Shameful.
Shocking, Peter. Absolutely terrible. And I think it shows you the football world now, Peter. Fans want everything, owners want everything tomorrow, and that guy's done an incredible job there. They've had a poor result, but for the owner to come on and berate the manager about something is shocking.
Yeah, absolutely. Just before we go, Tam, there's a big media game coming up at Easter Road. I was just wondering if you'd be putting on the old boots again to get back.
I don't know if I'm back in at Easter Road yet.
Yeah.
I've tried over the last few weeks to try and curry some favour with some positive columns, but
yeah,
I'll have to wait and see if I get the nod.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you going to pull the boots on for Dukla, Pumferson? We want you to come. You're at that age where we think it would be great for you to join us.
Played once for Dukla before, Peter.
Yeah.
Scored a hat-trick, so don't know. See
yeah.
how much I get.
Okay. Oh, well.
Just who he's playing?
We're playing for Tam McNaughton, who was a friend of mine who sadly passed away, played for Caerphilly, and we've got a tribute game for him at Ravenscraig. That game is on the 18th of June, I think it is, at Ravenscraig, and we're certainly looking forward to that. It was a great lad, and the Dukla team are coming out there. The Caerphilly boys are going to get together, and we're going to have a good bit of fun. But obviously, Tam, as he mentioned there, the money grabber that he is, wanting to know how much he's getting. So Tam won't be playing, Ruffy.
Just cover my fuel.
Just put him on the bench. The use now.
It's absolutely, that sums it up perfectly. So thanks to all the boys who are actually going to play for Dukla. Don't worry, I'll get Tam get the boots back on. He's genuinely a nice guy, really. Thanks to Ali, who I had a wee whisper with her there. She's not going to finish with a song. Much to the annoyance of Aurora and so many people calling for Ali to finish off with a song as we head to the end of the season. But I tell you what's something you got to look forward to. Ali, you got access all areas for the women's football show, the big build-up to the Scottish Cup final as well. It's going to be great for the women's football as well.
Yeah, absolutely. The final at Hampden, the Sunday after the men's Scottish Cup final, you've got Glasgow City and Rangers, and yeah, I think it's a really exciting finale to the women's campaign.
Yep, really looking forward to that. We've got Straight Talk. We've got also some brilliant football show programmes for you. And the journos this week will be out reacting to the midweek football as well. So lots of free content. If you get a chance, why not subscribe to PLZ Premium? The details coming up in a video just shortly. But you'll get additional new content, discount in the shop, early access to events, early access to some special one-to-ones as well coming up. Hopefully you can support us with that. And there's some big changes coming up in the PLZ Soccer studios as well as new signings. You've got to get new signings for the new season, Tam.
Yeah, you've got to keep Ruffy on his toes. I think it feels as if he's getting a wee bit lax at the minute, Peter, and he needs a kick up the backside.
Yeah, can't put it any better than that. Thanks to Alison and thanks to Ruffy for keeping it together, because I've never seen a look of fear like it on Alison's face as she could hear Ruffy's stomach rumble there, and the rumble in the jungle could have taken her out. Yeah, absolutely. And thanks to Tam.
On a white couch.
Yeah, that's why it's getting changed. Thanks to Tam for coming back off holiday in the season to work here on the show. From everybody on the football show, thanks for listening and watching.
PLZ Soccer is the #1 digital sports channel in Scotland, and we're offering you the chance to sign up to our exclusive PLZ Premium service.
All our existing content and weekly programmes across all our channels absolutely free of charge. PLZ Premium is offering you exclusive additional content to enjoy.
PLZ Premium offers you exclusive benefits on top of your monthly subscription.
The first 1,000 subscribers will receive a special A4 Legends poster as a PLZ Premium member.
You'll get exclusive video content, including a special Peter Martin Straight Talk 1-to-1 with a legend of the beautiful game.
Every month you'll have exclusive access to ask questions on our special live stream, and you can join us by live video link up.
You also get discounts on official merchandise.
Early access to tickets for our live events and exclusive behind-the-scenes footage.
We have a special free draw for premium members with the chance to win a Legends t-shirt.
Come and join the football family and be part of our brand new premium service on PLZ Soccer's YouTube channel.
PLZ Soccer, delivering you the best coverage of Scottish football. Wherever you are, we are.